Hey, welcome. Whew. I am exhausted. It has been 3 or 4 days, hey Lara, of just talking about Survivor, that episode. I have spoken to a lot of people about that episode. It has been topic of conversation everywhere. And I wasn't even a part of it. Imagine how Jacques must feel. Imagine how Jacques' family must feel. Hey Missy, imagine how Steffi and Nicole must feel after that episode. Yeah, deep breath, loudmouth. Everybody take a deep breath. If some of you may have caught yesterday, I was actually visiting with Vanner, and it just so happened that we had this explosive episode. And we spoke about it a lot over 2 days. And yeah, we both were kind of saddened by the episode that we could get so mean and lose our humanity the way we did. I will put this up front, and everybody who's here right now will hear this if people join later. I will probably repeat myself, that we are definitely getting an edit, okay? This all started right after Tribal Council. They came back from Tribal Council. Jacques was supposed to play his idol. They were trying to flush an idol. Steffi admits that she makes the biggest mistake in Survivor, flushing of idols, history kind of thing, because she wrote down the wrong name. She was supposed to write down Quibus's name, and she wrote down Jacques, so Quibus went home. And right after that, Jacques sort of gets on his cocky high horse, as we know he can, and starts to talk about now that he is definitely on the bottom. He's definitely going to play his idol next week. And he had the wrong choice of words. He said the biggest, and I don't think the youngsters have joined just yet. He said the biggest motherfucker will go home tonight, or next Tribal Council. What he didn't mean like a literal translation of the word. He was saying the biggest threat in the game will go home when I play my idol at the next Tribal Council. Everybody got on the bandwagon and just laid into him, and I thought it was sort of an example of bullying where you are in the periphery of a bully and you don't do anything about it. But everybody said something in that moment. I heard in the episode, and I watched that scene a couple times, in the episode where he starts talking about his next move and what have you. Maba, Mike, Rob. I didn't hear Letitia. You hear from Nicole, you hear from Steffi, that everybody just got on board. Now, I will say this, that I think that we hear Jacques apologize immediately. I have no doubt that Nicole apologized. I have no doubt that other people apologized to him and it was left out of the edit. No doubt. Because this is TV, right? We're creating a narrative. We are watching them put together arch characters, and we've got the Ice Queen, we've got the underdog, we've got these big archetypes in the series. So yes, we may not have got the full story, but at the end of the day, nobody put words in anybody's mouth. I can guarantee you that. Jacques said the things that he said, and he immediately apologized with a lot of gusto. You could see that he just said the wrong thing in the wrong audience. And everybody else sort of got on the bandwagon and laid into him. So watching that episode back as Steffi, Nicole, as Maba, as Mike, must have been exceptionally difficult. I did reach out to Jacques, and he sent me a couple of voice notes saying that he's okay with it. This happened a long time ago. He's come to terms with what happened. But for people like his wife and his family, having to see that must have been very, very difficult. It must have been very difficult to see it play out on the television screen the way that it did for people like Steffi and Nicole. Because although you are there, you are seeing it for the first time. in the way that it was received. And you also see then Jacques going off to do, who's just joined, by the way, leave him alone, he's just here to listen. You see Jacques go off and do a confessional, and you can see he's exceptionally hurt. So yeah, a very unfortunate incident. But then what happens is the ball just keeps rolling, and I feel like the bullies gain momentum, and they just all fan the flames of this really crap situation that they're in. So the episode is kind of actually quite there's not much that happens in the episode. We only have one like huge big team challenge or tribe challenge, and we have a smaller challenge that happens at the Islands of Secrets. And the Islands of Secrets is another situation where the top three, the senior management of Rob is here as well, everybody. Don't interact with them directly, they're not allowed to, but please can we just let them be and listen to the interactions. What happens is another situation where the top three sort of flex their power again, where they all decide that Maba's never been to Islands of Secrets and Letitia's never been to Islands of Secrets, so they should go. And then you see Steffi say, well, actually, I haven't eaten any protein since the merge. And you can just see Letitia having to be like, oh, that's disappointing. So it's a difficult situation that you see that dynamic unfold again, where they flex their power and the senior management says something and the lower employees have to follow through. And that's how this episode continues. And some of the confessionals, some of the conversations that happen on the beach are just mind-blowing. There's at one point you see Jacques walk up to the fire, and this one really stuck with me. And if you want to go back and watch it, head on to Mnet DSTV now and go and watch it. But 16 minutes from the end, Nicole has the moment where it's Maba, Mike, Durao, Nicole, Steffi, Steffi's not there, and Rob. They're all chatting strategy and what will happen and all this sort of stuff. And Jacques walks up to them, and I think you can't really hear what he says, but he says something like, oh, do you want me to go? And then Nicole says, yes, you should go. But that's not the part that bothers me. The part that bothers me, and we paused it, is her facial expressions in the, I don't want to say the joy of her watching her power play out to her minions of the tribe, to Jacques, and making him feel belittled and subhuman. That for me was really bad. And in fact, in that part where you see her like sort of smile, this ice queen smile, you see Maba sort of do this. And we paused it there, and I was like, look at that play of power. And then you can see as he turns around, she laughs at him. And the whole thing sat in my stomach, in my chest, and it just didn't feel good. And I've said this a number of times. I'm not here to judge people. I'm here to look at strategy and how maybe the human side of this game impacts one who has played before. I don't know Nicole. I don't know Steffi. I've reached out to Steffi. She didn't respond. It's difficult to watch. And Vanna and I, if you missed it last night, I'm going to get to your comments in a moment. You guys are going balls to the wall, which is great. Vanna and I did a story Insta Live last night. If you missed it, it will still be on my Insta for probably 2 hours or so before it disappears. And we were talking about how this looks like a snapshot of society. As sad as it is to say, you see this kind of stuff play out every day. Whether it is somebody who is in a power position and dominating somebody of a different sex, whether it's somebody putting down somebody of a different sexual orientation, whether it's somebody with a different skin color or a different income bracket. We are seeing bullying like this every single day. And in a society like South Africa, where we're so unequal, it is a snapshot of society. Jacques was the underdog. Jacques was seen as the weaker one in the tribe, and the top 4 or the top 5 or whoever they deemed they were speaking on behalf of, they were there to put him down. And it was hard, really, really hard to watch. And obviously a lot of people are attacking Steffi and Nicole. I'm not sure if they're coming for Rob as hard as they did for the 2 women, which, be that as it may. It's very difficult to sit here and know 100% everything that went down and what, was going through their minds and where they are in the game. And it's a very, very difficult situation. Okay, so I have got a timer here. We only have an hour because we know Instagram like to shut us down after that. So let me just get to some of the comments. It's been crazy since we started. Laura says, I feel sorry for Jacques. I really do. But like the rest of the, really do. The rest are like high school bullies. Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. I actually had lunch with LaRue on Friday right after the episode. And that's what I said it felt like. It felt like we had gone to high school and we were talking to the mean girls. And it stuck in my chest a little bit because of how I love this game and I love the snapshot of society and how we're watching people in a really unusual situation. They're never going to be in a situation like you get put on Survivor, and seeing them relate to that. And there are parts of it that feel like high school, where you have the popular kids, and it's not necessarily the popular ones, but it is that numbers majority. And this is rich coming from somebody who sat in a numbers majority. And Van and I had a long conversation about this, and I said to him, did we ever have moments like this where we may have dominated and thrown our power around like confetti? And there were a few moments that stuck out for me. Maybe sometimes how Tony perceived her treatment by us, but I don't think we ever belittled her or called her names or made her feel that she was this thing on the bottom of our shoe. I think there was probably moments when PK was still around where there were about 3 votes that PK didn't go home on, and he was still there. And I don't know if he maybe felt that kind of way. I'm not sure. But I really hope that I never had treated somebody the way that Jacques was treated on this episode. And Missy CK, haven't watched every Survivor season, but this episode must have been the biggest talked about episode, I think, surely for us, also because of the outcome, and we'll chat about that in a little while. Nicole cried and the jury laughed. Go watch Marba's Ponderosa. I don't know what you're referring to there. Jeanne Michel says, I did the math. I'm not sure what he's talking about. On a lighter note, Steffi is a hardcore mofo. She asked Marba to down a bottle of Biostrath on Islands of Secrets. Who does that? I see a bottle there. I would do it. It's not that bad. I did the math today, and I've watched 45 full seasons in 1 year and 4 months. That makes me an official super fan. Pretty much. Varys is here as well. Mike has also not been to the Islands of Secrets. Yep. I was so mad with the scene. Such bullies. Jacques for the win. Nicole had a similar moment where she told Letitia to leave the discussion with Rob and Steffi, and she says the tribe has spoken. That one for me was different because she had said to Letitia, we need to make it seem as if we're definitely going to vote for you. So I need you to make your way back to the beach. But they had included her in the discussion at that point. And they were basically trying to take off the focus from the fact that they were all going to vote for Marba, and they had to sell that lie to Mike, so that he didn't start running around as he did, trying to scurry and get votes and stuff. So, but they said to Letitia, we're going to tell people that we're voting for you, but you need to go back to the beach now, so that it looks like Rob, myself, and Steffi are continuing the conversation. So that one wasn't at all. But she did say the tribe has spoken, as in the 3 others. Yep, Rob, for fan favorite, no respect for Nicole or Rob. Good inside info from LaRue in that story. Do check it out. Yeah, LaRue, if you didn't see it, LaRue says that We've got a really cool take on the auction coming up in the next episode. It's not featured on the throw forward, so there will be the auction. And for me, the auction is always fun. And there's kind of a power play that happens in the auction as well, because some people already have their loved one's letter. And if you're a fan of the show, you know that the loved one's letter pops up again. And some people will put money down for a loved one's letter. And some people, I'm predicting that Jacques will probably go balls to the wall for his the challenge. There's normally a challenge advantage. So he will probably put all of his money on the challenge advantage. But if he spends money on his letter because he doesn't have his, he won't have the same amount as somebody else who would. My prediction would be that he will say no to the letter and go for all his money on the advantage. But because there's a twist, I'm not sure how this is going to work, and maybe there's something completely different at play on the auction. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what is said there as well. Hannes says not great for Mrs. South Africa. Correction there, Hannes. Yeah, I've spoken a lot about this, how the decisions that you make in the game sometimes come back, and you get flack for them. And for me, it was okay because I didn't really make any huge, ridiculous, conniving, turning my back on people. And if I did, it was Varius, and Varius and I are pretty good. So, yeah, but somebody like Varius, who was a pastor, whose profession means that he's got to be honest and truthful, and that's, people look at it, and he's going in as a game, as a sports match, where if he was playing rugby, he would go full out against his competitor in war, in battle, and do what he needed to do to win, but afterwards go and hug the person. That's how he viewed the game. But the people sitting at home don't understand how that works. They don't understand how you can have a completely different persona going into Survivor. But Survivor's like a big game of 30 seconds, right? How many friendships and relationships have been ruined from that? So keep that in mind. It's that competitive nature that comes out in you, plus all of the other things that they put in the game to completely throw you for a loop. Hungry, tired, dirty, your restriction of movement. You don't have any freedom. You're surrounded by people you literally do not like, who have been cast literally to come up against you, complete opposite, somebody who's going to push your buttons. That person was Martinez for me, and I was that person for Martinez. They knew that when they put us both on an island that we were going to clash like the Titans, and that's exactly what happened. So it's a difficult thing to do when people at home have no idea what it takes to play the game and how you're playing the game, and you're there, it's in a mind, game set, mind, game set, mind, game set, and it's like, oh, hold on, this is a little bit difficult to remove. And now somebody like Nicole has to go back to her reality. I'm not sure what she does for a living, if she has a business or if she's a businesswoman or what she does for a living, but she is a Mrs. South Africa. And those pageant women have a lot of titles to hold, and some of the things that define them are, beauty and honor and integrity, and all of those things are gone. With her on Survivor now. And it's for me, I'd love to sit down and listen to Nicole talk about what happens when she plays this game and how people judge her. That must be really, really difficult. Is Steffi becoming a goat? It depends on who takes her to the end. If Steffi and Rob go to the end, Rob wins. If Steffi and Nicole go to the end with somebody like Letitia or Jacques, I think Jacques wins. Letitia, I don't know what the jury would do. It depends all on what happens in the next episodes. If Steffi and Nicole can vote out Rob and they make a big move and they get rid of Jacques, or however this plays out, it all depends on the next big moves. To start talking now about people who can and can't win, it's too difficult. I didn't win, obviously, but I had some really cool things that happened in the last couple of episodes, which until that point everybody was like, well, what did she do to win? But there are things that can happen now that can push them into the pros column, but right now they've got too many cons against them. So it'll be a really good move to take Steffi to the end. The problem is that if you keep taking her, she could win those final immunities, and you could be the one who she doesn't think she needs to take to the end. So if she's wearing that necklace on the episode where she gets to decide who the final 3 are, then you're in trouble. So do you leave it up to those last 2 challenges and let Steffi loose because we know she's pretty good at challenges? So interesting, tough decision to make. But I don't know. Goats for me, if you're talking about a mature survivor juries like we see in the States that can appreciate different aspects of the game, and South African survivor and our juries, I'm not sure that we get the goat thing. Because I thought I was taking a goat to the end. I thought I would definitely beat Tom, and in the end I didn't do enough, and it wasn't a goat, and he completely whitewashed me. So it's a tough one with the South African survivor jury. Missy Casey says, I would just like to say, even though this was a sad and hectic episode, we need to have mercy and grace for everybody involved and be human and forgive, loved and respect for everybody. I agree. It must be very difficult to be Nicole or Steffi or any of the people involved in belittling and making Jacques feel as small as he did. I will tell you that somebody that I know spoke to Meryl, and the people in the jury didn't understand what had happened. So imagine they voted for somebody like Steffi or Nicole to win R1 million, to win Survivor. And they're now watching that episode going, what? They would have been told what happened by Maba. They would have been told by the next person who gets voted off. But you can't explain that without seeing it. So even the people in the jury are in the dark and watched it for the first time in this episode. So it must be very difficult on so many levels for so many people on that episode. Very, very interesting episode that played out. I haven't seen such a big group of bullies in any of the several survivors that I've watched. Yeah, again, I think it was a bit of a mob mentality because I don't think somebody like Mike is a bully. I don't think Maba's a bully. I don't think Letitia's a bully. I don't think Rob is a bully. I don't think Steffi or Nicole might be bullies in real life. But here we are in this completely unnatural environment. And maybe that brought out sides of them and they felt comfortable. Or I don't know. But I don't know these people. And I doubt whether they go through their lives being these incredible big bullies in real life. I don't know. And is calling somebody a bully bullying? Because I noticed on Nicole's social media that somebody called her out for bullying. And then she said, oh, but now you're bullying me. I don't think that that's bullying. I think bullying is like belittling and you know, making somebody feel small and less of a human being than you are. I don't think calling somebody out on bullying is in fact bullying. That just might be my opinion. Rodding Rother says, hi Jeanne, with your personal experience, how much of what we see on TV is a true reflection of the real personalities? Because it makes me sick thinking that one of them is Mrs. South Africa. I actually spoke to LaRue about this on Friday, how for me it's different. I went onto the island and what you saw there is pretty much who I am in real life. And I struggle to pretend to be anything. It's all written on my face. People can read me like a book. So that for me is a different story. But somebody like Nicole, who seems to be able to turn it on and off and lie to people with straight faces, I don't know if that's a true reflection. I'm assuming that she's there playing a game with all of the normal life things like suspended. All your rules of everyday life were suspended. So you go in there and you say, I'm not going to be Mrs. South Africa. I'm going to be Nicole, the ice queen. And I'm just going to suspend everything that I would do in normal life because there's rules and moralities in real life. In Survivor, there are only 3 rules: outwit, outlast, and outplay. How you choose to interpret that is completely up to you. But it's difficult to portray somebody that you're not because the cameras are there 24 hours a day. How you choose to treat human beings, how you choose to behave when you're hungry, how to choose to behave when you are upset or tired or you've just lost. Those are the things you can't cover up. I would get really angry when I lost. I was really frustrated with the jury. Those things come out. You forget that the cameras are there. So unless you're switched on and you have your mask on the whole episode, the whole series, the whole 39 days or however many days you're there, hats off to you because you're a pretty good actor, because that's difficult to maintain. But again, it's a TV show, so they are editing, but they're not putting any words in anybody's mouths. This is what I'm trying to put out about what happened at that tribe, that beach, when they came back from tribal council. Nobody was told to say anything. Nobody was told this is how you should behave. You should maybe focus on belittling Jacques. The words that came out of their mouth is what they said. There may have been other things, apologies that we didn't see, sequence of events maybe were switched around, whatever. So it has been edited for entertainment. And it worked because we're still talking about it. So the episode was a firecracker episode. It is exactly what it was meant to be, entertaining. And it's also, it makes us talk about society. It makes us look at ourselves and notice, have I ever been a bully? I know it certainly did it for me. I thought to myself, and Van and I spoke about this yesterday, have we ever been responsible? Have we ever been those people? Have we ever been guilty of being a bully in Survivor? And I don't know if I can honestly say that I wasn't. So it's difficult. But the people, for me, it depends on the person, individual. I was exactly who I was in real life. Tom. He can't be anybody else but Tom. Some of the other people we played with, sometimes when the cameras were around, were different people. But essentially, it's all real. More real than you would like, actually. Jacques says, flack for sure, my boss not impressed with my substandard puzzle performance. Yay, bro. 3 pieces to go Jacques had on that puzzle. If you haven't watched it in full or you missed a few things, go back and watch it by yourself in quiet, because there's so many little things that present itself in rewatching the episode. I really like the immunity challenge. I'm going to get there in a few minutes and we get through some of this. I love the jury's reaction during tribal council. Naughty, 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 said Meryl. Amazing. Mike is the only person who is acknowledging the jury. Maybe we'll talk about jury management in a bit. Would you ever want to become a behind-the-scenes producer for future seasons of Survivor? Mark, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because we'll see. Can we please talk about the flower in Jeffrey's hair during tribal council? Marius, stop taking my ideas, please. We will get there. Why send Steph to Islands of Secrets again? They are strengthening her every time, and only because they thought Maba and Letitia would get an advantage. Honestly, would they win with an advantage? Yeah, also, I'm going to chat about that in a second. Hope in the next episode alliances are broken. Maba was feeling too safe, like she didn't really give it all in challenges. Okay, so let's try and talk through the episode, right? So we go to the Islands of Secrets, and Steffi thinks, you know what, I've got to go, because Maba is on the bottom, and she can't win immunity. I'm the one who can stop her. They played Connect 4, and Steffi won none of the 3 rounds. So well done to Maba for sticking it to Steffi, who thought that she could totally dominate her in a Survivor challenge. I mean, you're going to Islands of Secrets. They're not exactly going to have a sprinting ring or a deadlift competition. They were going to have a little puzzle, Steffi, and by all accounts, she's not exactly the best at puzzles. Am I wrong? No. So again, it seemed like a little bit of a selfish move. I'm the queen here. I'm going to say what happens. And I'll be able to dominate Maba because I'm the solar champion. Again, it's that theme for me that comes through with some of the players of entitlement. Yeah, and then Maba wins that clue again. I'm such a geek when it comes to this stuff. When LaRue and the people at Survivor South Africa come up with really cool, unique things that have never been done before. So now, not only do they have an immunity idol at Tribal Council, which the first time that happened ever in the history of Survivor was on our season, where they hid sort of the medallion on the stand that Nico put the urn. This time they go a step further and they put it in the urn, and they have a little hidden compartment in the urn, and Maba gets the clue to it and goes and spends half an hour trying to figure out how to open it when she writes down Jacques. And we will talk about that. I loved it, and I thought if she had I would have had ample place to hide that immunity. They could have put 4 in there. and nobody would have found them. Yeah, so she eventually wins, and I thought an incredible, smart move. Oh, Lem says that Jacques says, by the way, Idol has been placed in the urn in the top of the urn in Survivor Australia. I've only watched one, sorry. But the first time it was a tribal council wasn't ours. LaRue told us that. Anyway, so what I enjoyed was the lie that Maba told to Steffi shows me that she understands a lot of what's happening, right? So she's not as clueless as maybe she's coming across in the edit. I think she's one of the quieter players, sort of sitting around in the background, letting things happen. Did it go on for too long? Probably. Was she afraid to make a big move when it counted 100%? But I love that she had said to Steffi, I didn't win an advantage, but I did win an opportunity to have an advantage. It kind of changed by the time she told Mike, so the story for me changed. But she said she had an opportunity to get an advantage in a challenge. And she could choose whichever challenge, a reward challenge or an immunity challenge. And Steffi took her for a word, 100%. No problem, got you. Goes back to camp. Steffi tells everybody else about that. And then we get the whole storyline of Mike and Doral trying to blindside Rob, which I love for the first time in a very long time, people talking about getting Rob out. But man, oh man, did that storyline just have so many twists and turns. I did question Mike's sanity in going straight to Doral first, but he did tell me that he did speak to Nicole as well as Maba, and the edit may have made it seem as if he had gone to Doral first. So, which is fine. It was a cool storyline. It made me go, wow, is anybody talking to Doral a good idea? And of course, Doral is so ingrained in the Rob cult that, and somebody pointed out his body language, and if you go and rewatch, it's quite interesting to watch. He stands there like this, listening, and he touches his beard, and he touches his eye, quite a bit when Mike is telling him his plan to blindside Rob, and if things are going to go that way, he's going to sing Jingle Bells, otherwise the plan will be aborted if something else comes up. Like, I don't know how long it took for Doral to go straight to Rob and reveal that information, but, it was scripted, but it wasn't, but it was like it was, that Doral turned around immediately and went and told Rob. And Rob was like, yes, look at my foot soldier coming to me and giving me the information that I need. And if anybody is doubting the way that Rob is playing this game, he's an absolute genius. And his social game has been on point. I'm told that he has consulted some Sangomas and some healers and some ancestral humans. So somebody's fighting for him, and he's doing some crazy, amazing social gameplay. So hats off to him. I think he's completely dominating the game. Whether he can stay in the next couple of episodes will be, I don't know, it will be surprising if they can get him out. That's what I'm saying. So Rob gets the information. Then he tells Mike that he's... First of all, I don't know how Mike is believing this advantage that Rob has. It's so convoluted that Rob can see, I think, 2 people's votes at any tribal. Let me tell you, from a behind-the-scenes look at Survivor, I'm not sure how Mike thinks that would work. How would he go and view a vote? Like, would they stop the whole production and be like, sorry, can everybody leave so that Rob can go and view that person's vote who's just gone up? I just don't know how it would play out in real life. And Mike's watched Survivor a lot, so that's never something that's come up before. But maybe I'm mistaken again. I don't know, it just seems like such a strange advantage to have, and that Mike believes that that's a thing. And then he calls off the whole blindside, and yeah, it proceeds to be a complete mess. And then we go to this challenge, and it's a really cool challenge because at the end, again, the puzzle comes up and it is a complete leveler. And everybody has had to swim out and untie some keys and stuff. and then they have to move them along in like a CrossFit rope challenge almost. And everybody's sort of back on the beach and getting up to the puzzle. And Rob is out first and followed by Jacques. And Jacques catches up to Rob and they are almost neck and neck. And then Jacques seems to like inch ahead in his puzzle, and out comes Nicole, who somehow smashes that puzzle in a really, really short time and takes it from Jacques, who desperately needed to win, desperately needed to win. And he didn't. And he had 3 pieces left of his puzzle to go, and he didn't get them. So, unfortunately, he knows that he has to play his idol. And he comes up with an incredible plan. One that I was talking to Vanna, I'm sorry to keep dropping his name, but I spent some time with him this weekend, and we spoke a lot about Survivor. And I said to Vanna, like, I'm not as smart in gameplay as Jacques or Rob or Mike even, or Vanna. They understand things on like strategic level. I get maybe the social side of things. And he comes up with this plan to play his idol at Tribal Council in front of everybody before the vote, so that everybody who's about to vote for him, they know their vote won't count. And so he's hoping that it will cause enough drama that people will start strategizing at Tribal Council. Right. So Tribal Council, LaRue told me, was 2 hours and 45 minutes. 2 hours and 45 minutes. As long as this recap feels, I guess. That is a long time. I think our final Tribal Council, where I had to sit being berated for almost 3 hours, felt like a lifetime. The reason I have some silver hair in my hair is because of that final Tribal Council. It was intense. So now we've got Maba sitting there. She got the idol. She knows that she's going to have an idol. And Jacques says to the group, I'm playing my idol. No votes can be counted against me. No votes count. So what are you going to do? You can either start strategizing and start taking aim at some of the big people in this tribe. And Jacques and Steffi and Nicole sit there like the kings and queens of the tribe and say, no, my people will do what we told them to do. And Jacques says to Maba, if these people have told you to write down my name, you are in trouble. And he says it to the people on the bottom. The only people who voted for Jacques were Mike and Maba. Who's on the bottom? Mike and Maba. Maba still ignores her internal feelings, ignores her conscience telling her something is up. Let me tell you also something, an inside scoop. If you're ever sitting at Tribal Council and it feels like it's dragging on and on and on, it's because something is up. If the voices inside your head are telling you something is up and you are reading into people's, what they're saying at Tribal Council, how they're talking, for safety's sake, play the idol. Probably that idol will come back into the game. Probably something is going to happen because it's Survivor that may give you an extra day in the game afterwards. But your goal in Survivor is to live one more day until you sit at the end. Maba had an entrance for free to go to the next round. Plus, it could have been the biggest upset in Survivor. It could have been the perfect end to a really difficult game. David is pointing out, and I'm going to go down a little bit and go through some of the comments, but David is pointing out that paranoia is a powerful blinder. The paranoia is difficult. I agree with you, and I've spoken a lot about the paranoia that kicks in. But there is a moment at Tribal Council where you get a voice inside your head that says, And if you're sitting with an idol and you know you don't have immunity around your neck, you know that you're not at the top of the alliance, because the 3 senior management is not a secret. Maba's been on the bottom for a while. Why she thinks that she's so confident in her alliance is beyond me. She knew that she should have played that idol and she didn't. So unfortunately, it's tough. It's very tough. Very, very tough. Jacques says paranoia. # justice for Ting Ting. Paranoia will kill you, and it does. And but you have to have a holistic view of where you sit in your tribe. And if she knew that her and Mike were on the bottom, which they've been showed a couple of times, she should have played that idol. It shouldn't have been even a question. So now, I am told that there is another idol in play. So does Jacques find an idol? Does Rob find an idol? Jacques knows this game well enough to know that that idol is going to come straight back in. Is it going to be an Islands of Secret thing? Is it going to be a hidden idol? Yeah, let's go back quickly. I just want to see if I've missed anything. The game is in the hands of Darao and Letitia. It's Rob, Nicole, and Steph versus Jacques and Mike at the bottom. The two flippers will determine the outcome. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to manage to flip them. It's going to be too little too late. Darao is very difficult to work with because he's so unpredictable. He can't lie very well. And that was a problem we also had with some of the players we played with. We were like, well, we could work with this person. We have a relationship with these people, but they're too unpredictable. They're emotional. They're all over the show. They're uncontrollable. Whereas Darao is completely controllable. Rob has him wrapped around his little finger. And if he does stray, is it going to be a plan where he thinks he's going to play a fake idol? It's just bizarre, like what's happening. And also, let's remember that he has another fake idol, which is actually a proper idol that looks like an idol, but it's fake. When is he going to use that? He could have done some firebomb things with it at this tribal council. Wow, that would have been incredible. Anyway, Jacques says French Survivor had something like it, but the winner gives someone a black vote they have to vote with. That way it gives their voters intel. Yeah, that whole thing explaining that he has an opportunity to see somebody's vote is weird. Even Nico was trying to push her to play it. Why doesn't the castaways read into Nico's hints? Paranoia. Do you think it's fair for Nico to give hints to the players? Look, Nico is there too, so Nico will know going into the tribal council or the challenges, some of the things that had happened on the beach. So he'll know who to ask something, how you feeling, are you tired, did you sleep enough, or those kind of things. He knows going into those situations. And then going into tribal council, the producers and the people who are creating the storylines will know where they want to go with it, right? So in their brain, they know if Maba plays that idol, they're going to have the biggest, ballsiest vote out of Rob, this big power player. That will be spoken about. So I'm not sure that they knew it was going to explode this episode the way that it has, but they knew they had a really amazing episode on their hands. So when they're editing all of this, they know that if Nico knows that the outcome for them, the best outcome of this episode in terms of storyline and explosive power blindsides, it would be for Rob to go home. So they're talking to everybody, and that's why it's so long, because you can't just talk to Maba and say, Maba, how are you feeling? You have to kind of ask everybody the same question. They edit it down at the end for us to see Nico only asking me how I'm feeling and where I think I sit in the tribe. But probably he's asked about 5 people already the same question. And then they pick it out and they edit it. But there's a moment where if Nico's asking if anybody wants to play an idol, now is the time to do it. And there's a little bit of a longer than normal pause, and you're sitting with an idol, play the idol. Play the idol. Because Nico knows that there's an idol. Nico knows what's happening. He's got producers in his ear. And that's the outcome that we wanted. Maba going home was a bit of a damn squib on the episode. But, yeah, unfortunately, I liked her. She was in my fantasy league, and she gone. And unfortunately, it is that curse of the idol. It's huge responsibility. You have so much fear of doing something wrong with it that you think, I'll keep it for this one. I'm pretty much safe for this one. I'll play it at the next one. And I don't know if that's a smart thing to do when you are not the senior management. And the people know on that island who's not in the top. It was a bizarre outcome. And let's talk about what Jeff was wearing at Tribal Council. Bruh, Are you just rocking a sarong and a flower in your hair? Yes, queen. I'm here for it. The jury was giving me lots of life this episode. Meryl with her naughty, you don't speak up to the management kind of thing. Somebody mentioned that Mike is the only person who looks at the jury, engages with the jury. Some of those people won't want to look at the jury because they're going to get flames. There's shots fired straight for their head, bah, 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 in their face. They don't want to look at the jury. And it's difficult to look at the jury if you have been part of voting them out, or you didn't really have a relationship with them anyway, or you were really mean to them. All of those are difficult because sometimes you think they're out the game. I don't need to acknowledge who these people are. But the problem is that these people are in charge. These people have the responsibility of choosing somebody to win Survivor. Guys, we are on 46 seconds. We've got a couple minutes. If you have any more questions, I'm going to get to them. I'm going to wrap up soon. So for me, the jury management, the only people who are playing to the jury at the moment, Nicole couldn't give a stuff about the people on the jury. Rob doesn't seem to be doing like massive playing to the jury. He speaks in very broad terms. He's very political. He's coming across as very calculated. But Steffi doesn't give a toss about who's on the jury and what they think. They're out the game as far as she's concerned, and the stronger players are still in the game. Mike is playing for the jury and Jacques is playing for the jury. His jury management is exceptional to the point where, if you notice at the start of the tribal council, he explains in detail what had happened on the beach. And Nicole, in essence, also is telling stories for the jury's benefit. She explains that Jacques was there and we all high-fived him, and then he had the audacity to speak to us like, I can't even remember what she said. But in some part of the episode, she talked about redemption. That Jacques needed to seek redemption. From who? For what? The hypocritical nature of some of the players on this season is so fascinating to watch, where they can see somebody's gameplay as being evil and deceptive and lying and manipulative and all these negative things, and they do exactly the same thing, but they are without reproach. They are honest and playing with integrity, and they deserve things, and they fight harder, and they deserve to have food and rewards. Those two things don't exist. If you're there and winning challenges, you deserve to win. If you're there still outlasting, you deserve to be there. It's such a fascinating game that you can't see your own bias. These people are attacking Jacques for doing something, speaking and saying a bad word to them. He didn't mean that in that moment, and I think we could all see that. And yet they are speaking bad to him for 2 days. Vanna slept on the hammock most of his time on Survivor. It's cold. It gets so cold at night that in the middle of the night, Vanna would come and lie next to me. This man was ostracized to the point where he couldn't come into the camp. Nobody could go and speak to him. And you don't think that that's worse than calling somebody a motherfucker? And not even in that context, he was calling the person the biggest threat in the game? You don't think that that's what you're doing is worse than what he did? Fascinating. Just completely fascinating. Okay, let's quickly get to some questions, comments. Which pre-merge boot would you have liked to see play in the post-merge? Whoa, man. I don't know. There's been so many big characters pre-merge who went out. Some of the people I've completely forgotten about. Rocco would have been interesting. I would have enjoyed to see Tanya still. Ting Ting. Felix would have been dynamite. I couldn't stand him, but he would have been interesting to watch. Yeah, I think those 4 maybe. The jury are really the cool kids. That's what Dante says, and I am struggling to disagree with him. It would have been cool if she gave the idol to Jacques. Yeah, there was a moment, I'm not sure why she took it out of her top to put it in her bag to walk out of tribal council. It was a weird little moment. I'm not sure what the rules are about handing over an idol as you've been voted out. I mean, I assume you could give it over. Or give it to Mike, something, but in that moment, she's so shell-shocked about what's just happened, you probably can't even think that that's an option for you to do, or that's something that you should do. And she's probably really pissed at Mike as well, because he didn't somehow protect her. And Jacques, she wrote Jacques' name down. Why is she going to give him an idol? Do you know what I mean? So it was either him or she didn't think it was him or her. Yeah. That also the thing about people writing Jacques' name down, even though he's playing an idol, for me seemed like the biggest insult to South African Survivor, because internationally we can look like a little bit of idiots. And Jacques was just like, what are these people doing? I mean, it was so fascinating to me that they wouldn't just all vote for Maba. And Mike did give me some insider info saying that he didn't write down Maba's name, and he knew that it would seem like he was dumb, but he wanted to seem like he was following orders, which he was. And he's basically told the rest of the tribe that he's not smart. I think he's told them something like he didn't pass matric, and he's downplaying his emotional intelligence. He's downplaying his intelligence, and I think that yes, on the surface that would have been okay, but if you get to jury, I mean, if you get to final 3, which was also confirmed by LaRue yesterday, if you get to final 3, and somebody says to you, well, you voted for somebody who told you they're already playing an idol. What makes me think that I should give you R1 million? You make the biggest, dumbest move on Survivor. When somebody's already played an idol, you could have at least got up and spoken strategy to somebody, but you chose to follow the orders of senior management. And I think that that's a very difficult argument to come back from. So on the surface, yes, he's following orders, but on a deeper level, if he gets far enough to have to answer questions from the jury on that move, it's going to be difficult to explain away. Terrence says, I love the jury. I'm here for the reaction since it's pretty much the same as mine, 100%. What about Dante's perfect top bun in the last episode? I did notice his hair. He is a beautiful man, actually. I was stalking him on Instagram today, as one does, and I really want to take a drive out to his coffee shop. Who's down? Who's down for a drive to Dante's coffee shop? Apparently he has a husky as well, so I'm here for it all. The man bun, the Land Rover that he drives, his coffee shop, all of it. I'm down for some Dante, guys. Also, do you see how Cobus looks at Dante as well? It's adorable. Do you think Mike and Jacques will survive tribal in the next episode? It is absolutely impossible to know the answer to that, because it all depends on who wins the immunity at the challenge. It all depends on if one of them find an idol. There's so many things. Who goes to Islands of Secrets? What happens at Islands of Secrets? We don't know. The next few episodes are going to be fireballs, because there's so much up in the air, unpredictability and volatility in these players, that it's going to be exceptionally difficult to predict who's going to go far. It's impossible. I don't even think the producers at this point know who's going to go to final 3. It's going to be very difficult. I wish that Maba would have given her idol to Jacques. Yep, I assume Maba played the idol. So assume Maba played the idol. Rob said he would have played his idol. They are safe with Jacques and Nicole. No valid votes are cast. Who goes home on the second vote? My guess is Mike. But Rob would never have played his idol. That is completely fantasy. Rob is so comfortable that a blindside on Rob, this was the perfect time, because he was no way going to play his idol. He is so comfortable, and he's got his foot soldier Doral listening out for his name being mentioned. So those kind of strategic what ifs, I am not very good at them, because I don't know the ins and outs. You'd have to talk to Vanna about that, or to Jacques. At this stage of the game, food is a big thing. You don't see anyone fishing. They probably go out every single day fishing, but do you want your episode filled with people not catching any fish every day, or do you want to see the drama on the island? At this point, look, you can go into the ocean, whether you catch anything, it's neither here nor there. And if you do, it's probably this big. We spend every day. Vanna would go out fishing every single day. So somebody, maybe Dante was the only one who was fishing. I don't know. But sometimes you go out and nothing happens, and that's boring TV. So whether they are fishing or not fishing, they're not eating fish, which tells me that they're not doing very well at fishing anyway. So I don't want to see that on TV. LaRuth confirmed on Twitter that you can hand over an idol at any point until your torch is snuffed. So yeah, Maba probably just, you didn't want to play it. I've got 5 minutes left, so let's quickly smash out some of these questions if we still have. Who do you think the jury are most leaning towards a win at the moment? At the moment, they want to give the win to Jacques. You can see every time he speaks that he's confirming everything that they think along the lines of the senior management, and that is Rob and Nicole and Steffi. And every time those three speak, they are rolling their eyes or commenting. I think last week, Meryl actually said the word nauseous, or she's nauseating when Nicole spoke. So at this point, the jury really don't like those three. So the best thing for those three to do is take each other to the end, because it'll be an even fight if they are there. Although Rob would definitely beat Steffi and Nicole, hands down. So it's an interesting. The people left now, any three of them going to the final is fascinating for me. And all depends on how bitter that jury is. Imagine Jacques lands up on that jury. Who does he want to win? Does he give the money to Rob? My assumption would be yes, because Rob has been the one who's played. But what if Rob's not there? And what if Mike is not there? What if Steffi or Nicole are there with somebody like Letitia? What does Jacques do with his vote then? That kind of thing fascinates me as well. Rob said on Twitter he would have played his idol if an idol was played. Oh, did he? Okay. I'm not very active on Twitter. So if Maba played her idol, Rob would have played hers, and there would have been no votes. Then I guess Mike would have been the problem. You're right, he would have gone home, probably. Yeah, that would have been, they would have been there for another 6 hours. Gee whiz. I think that's it for questions, comments. Any last words? I am looking forward to Thursday, man. I'm tired. Like, my brain is tired thinking of Survivor. But if you missed the conversation I had with Van, it was really insightful. He comes with a very different angle and a very different perspective to me, which I love. I have so much respect for him and his family, and what he does, and his passion for this game. You know, I'd love, people always ask me who I think is a better player between him and Rob, and it's so difficult because they're very, very different. And I think that Rob has such a hold on the game right now, but I think that Vanna had a slight better social game. He made people feel really good. He brought them in. He made them feel special, like we were really good friends. Well, it's interesting to compare, but they're so different. But they both dominated the game. So yeah, it's such a fascinating episode. It's such a fascinating season we have right now. And I'm looking forward to the next one, because if they don't do anything about Rob at the moment or Steffi, then it's going to be a very interesting finale, which, by the way, is on the 12th of September. Mark it in your diaries. It's going to be lit. I'll be there at the finale. Very much looking forward to that, and having a beer with Jacques and Mike and all the people who don't despise me for this recap that I do every week. And thank you everybody for staying with us this Sunday. And if you watched last night and tonight, then you're probably overdosing on Survivor as well. So thank you everybody. Mario says, I hope Jacques wins. There you go, Jacques. Can't handle another Tom win. Rooting for Jacques. If Doral wins, I'm burning Mnet down. Missy Casey says, night, John. And David says, thanks, John. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for coming and viewing every week. And yeah, enjoy Thursday. Follow the hashtag on Survivor SA on Twitter, because that apparently went bananas this week. And yeah, it's going to be bananas. It is going to be lit. If you have any questions, any comments, drop me a message on Instagram. This will be on YouTube. The last one, I'm having issues, but I'm also going to post it tonight. But otherwise, we'll chat again on Sunday next week. Hopefully, maybe, because I'm going to the Silver Scadam Fest this week, and I'll try. We'll be there. I'll make sure I do a live recap on Sunday. So enjoy the rest of your week, guys. I'll chat to you next week. Bye!